Hello everyone, I'm Nidhi Gill. Welcome back to Sweet Magnolia. Today we are going to learn about a craft which has become very prominent and very popular amongst people, craft enthusiasts in the past 3-4 years. It has always been there, but lately it's become very common, and there are people who already do it, and there are a lot of people who have no idea how to do it but are keen on learning. So I just thought of making this one little video where I can just teach you the basics of the craft, and this video is only for beginners. In case somebody is interested, then you can comment and I can post more videos regarding the same. So the first thing that you do when you do decoupage is make sure that your base is absolutely clear of any grease, any oil or any dirt. So what I'm using here is a nail paint remover, and I put some on a tissue and I just wipe the base well. And wipe the cover as well. Step 2. What I'm going to use here to paint the base, to paint my the product that I'm going to do decoupage on is, I'm going to cover the base. Why we need to cover the base is so that the print that we're going to apply is more prominent और वो ज़्यादा नज़र आए आपको. So the only two colors that can be used are acrylic paints or chalk paints. Chalk paints can be used, or should be used rather, on glass and on ceramic. For wood or for terracotta, you can also use acrylic. But because this is a smooth surface and so is ceramic, if you use acrylic on these, acrylic paint is most likely to peel off. So we don't want our hard work to go waste. Hence, we will use chalk paint. So I'm going to use a dabber to paint. We have to use very light colors. It can either be off-white or it can be pure white or cream. So if you color your jar black or any dark color, your print will not be seen. It won't be visible at all. वो नजर ही नहीं आएगा अगर आप black paint कर दोगे और उसके ऊपर tissue लगाओगे. I'm not going to be painting here because anyways, because of the friction, when I put the lid, the paint will come off. So whatever is there, वो हम लोग मतलब जो थोड़ा लग गया है वो हम लोग आराम से धीरे-धीरे साफ कर देंगे. Neatness is in any craft is very important. So make sure कुछ dry paint लगा है that you should take off. And then just touch it again. So we are done with one coat. This is how it looks. We are going to do one more coat on this after this dries. So whichever print you take, any tissue that you decide to take, it always has 3 layers. So what we need to do is take off the plain 2 layers and just use the print part of the tissue. So 2 layers we have to take off. And how do we do that? So for that we need, this is a trick that I have learned over the years. I'm just going to apply थोड़ा सा फेविकॉल लगाया. Not too much, very little. If it is too much, it's not going to work. The trick is not going to work. Okay, I do this, and the moment I feel it's okay, it has started sticking, I hold the tissue from here, and there it goes. One layer gone. My Fevicol has dried. So a little more. Yeah. Just this much. And second layer gone. This is the best trick and the easiest way to separate your extra tissue from the one that we are going to be using for our project. Now, how do you tear it? One is you cut it, and the second is tearing. I prefer tearing, and there's a reason to it. Now, before cutting it, I'm going to teach you another trick to avoid any kind of creasing. You see these wrinkles? To get rid of these wrinkles, I'm going to iron my tissue a little. So I have butter paper, parchment sheet, whatever you have, you can use that. Separate your tissue and then just iron it a little. So now this is finally dried, and we can go with the second coat of chalk paint. And we have to wait a little while for it to dry again. So the paint has finally dried, and now comes applying the glue and sticking the paper. So the best glue to use is, for beginners especially, is Mod Podge. Mod Podge is the glue which is used in all decoupage projects, but I don't use Mod Podge every time. What I do is I just use simple Fevicol, 2 parts of Fevicol and 1 part of water, and mix it well. And this is how it looks. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I'm going to use for to paste the tissue on the jar. So I have decided that this is the pattern I want on my jar. So there's no measuring required for this. All I'm going to do is just put it here. I'm going to leave very little onto this side because I want the edges to be very neat, and I'll be folding it from here. So leaving just a few centimeters, I put my jar and then I start cutting. Tearing rather. I'm sorry, I said cutting, I meant tearing. Okay. I'm using a brush. I just wet it a little, not too much, because your tissue is going to absorb water. If it absorbs too much water, it's going to tear from places you don't want it to tear from. And I'm going to cut it up till here, and then whatever extra is there, we'll cut it later. So this is our line. So another easy way to do it now is use a ruler and just put dots. Don't run the brush too hard on the tissue or else it'll tear again. Just keep putting dots of your wet brush and it'll tear easily. Yeah? If you realize I haven't really put my brush there and pulled it along, just a touch. And then keep pulling it. You just need to be a little careful, and it comes with practice. The more you practice, and it's very easy. It's such a wonderful thing for children to learn. It keeps them occupied, and you are putting their energies into something creative. Okay, so there you go. And it is time to apply the glue and start pasting. So now the trick here is apply a very thin layer of glue. Again, because the one mistake most beginners do is बहुत ज़्यादा glue लगाते हैं कि कम नहीं रह जाए और as a result just the tissue starts to tear. And we will not apply glue on the entire jar together. Okay? So we will just start with one portion at a time. And just pull the paper enough so that there are no creases. And when your tissue is wet, you will realize that it stretches when you pull it. So very, very gentle you have to be on the tissue, and it's always a good idea to keep a tissue next to yourself so that last minute, just before applying, if you feel that there's too much product on your brush, you can just wipe it off. Okay, now another important thing. When you just reach the end, you don't want to overlap too much. What happens if you overlap too much? The rest of the jar is one shade and the overlap part is another shade. So the joint is going to be seen. So whatever is the extra, we just put a mark, and then using the same technique of the wet brush, how you used the one that you used to tear the tissue, usko bas lagaiye and very, very gently just take it off and just roll. Now we don't want it to be, we don't want to gather here, and because it's going to look very ugly. So what I'm going to again do is, you can either cut off the extra paper or again put a finger on the tissue from the outside just to give it a little support, and make sure that you are applying water just at the right point and not tearing extra. And a little glue to tuck in the torn edges to make it look a little neater. Alright, now this portion that you see, again apply very little Mod Podge mixture and just with your brush merge the two layers together. So this is how it looks as of now. And like I said, I am going to cut off this part because or else my tissue is going to tear when I close the lid. So yeah, again I just mark with the wet brush and I'm going to tear this portion of the tissue as well. Any crease that you see, just you can with a wet brush you can straighten it. So don't worry too much, and as you keep practicing, but just remember to go slow and not to rush. Okay, we're almost done. So the basic jar is ready, and we're going to wait a little while for it to dry a little, and then we go to the next step. Good. The next step is to cover your tissue with the same solution which you used to stick your tissue. And while you do it, you can just keep very lightly, just keep pressing it, and you can keep getting rid of the crease or any bubbles that another 10 minutes for it to dry. It all depends on the weather actually, how fast it dries. So depending on that, you can just wait for it to dry properly before you apply the varnish. So the final thing is to apply the varnish. The next step is to varnish the jar to make it safe and waterproof. I'm going to use matte varnish. You can use matte or you can use gloss. That's entirely up to you. I prefer using matte because I don't, for no reason actually. I'm using matte because I just want to use matte today. Yeah, and I'm just going to take out some. So this is the brand that I use. This is for all professional work. You can either use this or try another brand, but this is one brand I can vouch for. And for all my chalk paints, this is the brand I use. And this one, Little Birdie chalk paints is what I use. Okay, so now we varnish. I use a thick brush. I make sure that it is not wet. It has to be absolutely dry, or else we'll go back in time and वो फिर से आपका टिश्यू पूरा गीला हो जाएगा. So here, I'm going to do 2 coats of varnish. Well, you have to be careful while doing this, but you don't really have to worry too much because your tissue is already safe and in place because of the Mod Podge that you've applied. Now the first layer of varnish has all dried up, so I'm going to use apply the second coat of varnish. A quick thin coat and we are done. And now I just cannot stop at this. I always need to do a little extra. So here comes in handy my forever Sutli. So I'm going to just do it around the jar a little it just makes it look a little more cute. So I am going to apply some glue using a glue gun. I'm going to do the bow in the front because the joint of the tissue that should not be in front. So I'm going to have it at the back. Again, make sure you don't put too much glue, or that the glue is so strong, the heat gun glue, that is going to tear off your tissue. So this is how the jar looks as of now, but I'm going to make it a little neater. I'm going to clean this part, but before I clean the neck of the jar, I'm going to add a little beauty to the lid. Let me see if it closes properly. Oh yes. So now, like I said, I just cannot do just the basic. No, that's not me. So I have to make the jar a little more pretty. So I'm just going to add a little leaf and a little flower to the lid. So here we are. The neck is neat, the jar is pretty, and all dressed to go out. See, here it is. Your jar is ready. The neck is absolutely clean, and the lid is ready, and so are the candies to go in. You need not worry कि अंदर क्या सामान है, कैसे दिखेगा, because there you have. नीचे से plain है, and you can see what is there in the jar. So pretty it is. You can make these jars, put candies in, put your dry fruits in, and use them for gifting during Diwali season or any other time, any festive season, or when you are going for a housewarming. You can make sets of 2, sets of 6 pieces, whichever way you want. So today I've taught you how to do decoupage on glass. The same technique, the same way, with chalk paint base is used when you do ceramic plates, when you do terracotta, or when you do wood. This is a terracotta pot that I've done, and again I had applied chalk paint, but you can also use acrylic paint. Only on ceramic and glass you need to use only and only chalk paint. Otherwise, on terracotta or on wood, you can either use chalk paint or you can use acrylic. So this is a tissue box. This has a wooden base. This is a terracotta base. This is glass. Ceramic also I shall show you. And this is wax. These are decoupage candles. You can find them on our website. And these kind of gift boxes. Very, very popular during the Diwali season. And oh, how lovely. They're all scented candles. Sets of 3s. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry. So this is how they look. And they come in these kind of boxes. So if you're interested and keen on learning how to make these decoupage candles, you can drop in a comment and I shall make the next video related to this. In case you don't want to make them and you are being lazy, you can buy them from our website, and that's a wonderful gift for Diwali. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and for more such content, do subscribe to our channel, and in the comments, do let me know if there is anything in particular that you would want to know about or learn about. If I am able to help, I would certainly love to do that. Thank you so much.